Hi folks, Donna Gallant again. I just finished a really quick little workshop I did with my students on brush strokes and learning to find out what our brushes do for us. So you may end up with a whole pile of brushes and you never seem to find the right one because you don't know what each brush will do for you. So I did this class to help my students figure out what kind of marks you can make with your brush, because there's no use just say filling in a big area with a tiny brush. That doesn't make sense. Where you can use a big brush with a couple strokes and the whole thing is filled. And then about texture, oh man, can brushes make a lot of texture? So things like I did both watercolor and acrylic. So in watercolor and both acrylics, you need a good round brush. So a round brush will make these kind of marks. I showed them how they could make them fat and skinny, how they can do zigzags, trees, and what kind of textures and marks you can make with a round brush. So they're so handy, so versatile, and especially in watercolor. Now, another one I love using a lot is a flat brush. And they come in different sizes. So flat brushes do all kinds of variations as well. In fact, I think they're a little bit more versatile than a round brush because you can maneuver them. They remind me a lot of a pen and ink, like how you used to do fancy writing, because if they had a square nib at the end, you could do so much with your letters. Another one of my favorite brushes is a filbert. And where's my filbert when I want it? Okay, I'm going to get a filbert out of here because I know this one has it, out of my acrylics. So this is a filbert brush. It's like the flat brush, but it's rounded. So a filbert brush is really good for doing things with circles, great for trees, flowers, and of course it does fat lines and skinny lines just like the flat brush. So I really enjoy using this one too. It's really good for blending too. The next brush a lot of people like using is a fan brush. So a fan brush is great, but it doesn't do as much as you might think it does because it separates. Can you see how those bristles separate, especially once it's wet or it's got paint on it? So the separation's good for like doing wood. This is a cut piece of wood, or doing tree leaves or grasses. And when you do it with grasses, you don't necessarily brush down like this. You push up. Okay? So a flat or a fan brush is nice for something a little bit different. Now, other brushes that you should think about having, things like a script brush. Now, script brush is a little different than a rigger. Here is a script brush. It's long and skinny, and it is really good for doing delicate things like lines. Grass is really good. Details. It's really good for details. And I had a couple other brushes. I don't have them out right now, but there's a deerfoot. Do I have one? Yeah, I do have a deerfoot. So deerfoot is sort of a flat at the end. And it's really good for making different textures, like here. Okay, for dabbing, swirling, that kind of thing. So it's really nice for that. One thing I love using, and where is it? I'm looking for my dagger. It should be here. Here it is. So here's a dagger. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Like sometimes they call it a sword brush. Anyway, it makes wonderful lines. It's really good for doing leaves and things. I did a feather with it. See, I've got it written down here as a dagger. So you can do really cool things. This is called Aurora, not Aurora. Aura? I don't know. Anyway, it's sort of like the deerfoot. I don't have it handy, but inside it's hollow, like there's a hole in the middle. And it does some different textures. One here I don't have a copy of is, no, it's in my other stuff. It's like a flat brush, but it's called a rake. And it's got parts that are cut away, so you have different heights and lengths in your brush. So it creates sort of like a, really great for grasses and things like that. But you know what? Why go spend all that money? You can do the same thing with your regular brushes. For example, if you got a flat brush, I don't have a wet. When it's wet, you can separate the bristles, and you can do the same thing a fan brush does. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. Anyway, other things you can do and use besides brushes. Oh, by the way, we made our own brush. It does some really funky things. I think this is what we did with it. You can use other tools, like I've got straws, palette knives. Oh, palette knives are so wonderful. Do I have palette knife here? This is palette knife. So you can do really great straight lines with it. I really like a palette knife. You can buy all these funny things. Here's one of those shaper brushes. Well, it's not a brush, it's just a shaper. And it's kind of made out of rubber or something, but it really pushes the paint around. So it does some nice effects. Straws. Great. Straws are great for doing little circles. I don't know if I've got one here with little circles on it. I thought I did one with it. Okay. Another thing you can use is a regular comb. Any kind of comb. You can buy the combs too. And like the fancy ones. Just a regular comb. And I did fun things like this here. I don't know if you can see it. You can make wonderful marks with it. You can also use the back end of your brush. You can use the skewer. You can use a foamy brush. You can use forks. You can use these funny little brushes from the kitchen. You can make fun things. So there's all kinds of possibilities. I even like a palette knife. Not a palette knife, a putty knife. Another one, which is cheap and easy. Do I have one handy here? Yeah, there it is. Is using an old credit card. Okay. It does great straight marks. It's wonderful. So in the class we finished, oh, toothbrushes too. You can use toothbrushes. Great for splatter. We ended up doing this. After you learn how to use your brushes, then start to use them in your painting. For example, I painted in between everything. I think I used a flat brush, but you could use a round brush or a filbert. And then the edges here, I just used my flat brush to do the edges and paint it across. You can use the side of it. And then for the little bushes on the bottom was a round brush. The little dots here are the end of the brush. I made little twigs, and you can use like a little flat brush or an angled brush. You know, you could do all kinds of things with that. I just love trying different things. Anyway, experiment with your brushes. Play with them, because the more you learn about what kind of marks you can make, the easier it is for you to paint. Okay, so that's it. Keep painting. We'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, don't forget to click like.